always says that. We never can smell it. We're so jealous, Cynthia. It does look really good. You're even saying that dish looked really good.
Wonderfully nutritious.
It is the never-ending debate. Which is better, butter or margarine? Here to help us figure it all out, and of course to talk to us about choosing fats and oils in your diet, registered dietitian Andrea Holwegner. And we're talking all about dietary fats.
We are.
And there's so many things to talk about, and there's so many new buzz things. Coconut oil, is it better, is it not? We'll get to that in a bit.
Yes.
But first of all, just tell us exactly what are dietary fats and why do we need them?
Okay, and there's so much negativity about fat. I think sometimes people forget it's an essential nutrient.
Well, everything is obsessed with fat-free, low-fat. That's all you hear about on commercials, right?
Sure,
yeah.
Absolutely. So we do need fat for just overall health. All of our little cells in the body require fat. We need fat to help us absorb vitamin A, D, E, and K. Those are our fat-soluble vitamins. And we know that fat provides satiety. So if you've taken too much fat out of your diet, we find people get ravenous.
Okay. And then you start getting cravings, and then you start eating the bad stuff, right?
Exactly.
Like you'll always eat the chocolate. I know that's your thing.
Of course.
I know that is your thing. Okay, so then the big question is, how do those dietary fats get stored in your body? Do they instantly turn into fat right away, or how does that all work?
This is a great question and a huge source of misconception in our clients. Just because you eat fat in foods does not mean it will get stored as fat on your body.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
They're the same word, so I think it's confusing. And what's important to keep in mind is that any nutrient, whether it's a carb, a protein, or a fat, is going to get stored on the body if you've eaten it in excess.
Okay.
Okay, from an excess calorie perspective.
Sure.
So as I always say, calories are king when it comes to looking at weight management. You could eat a diet totally based on eating ice cream, an excessive amount of it, and not gain a pound. In fact, you could lose weight as long as the calories in your diet shift.
Okay. And then there's, of course, always a big difference between dietary fat, saturated fat, all these different fats. And there's a good, a bad, and an ugly. So why don't you take us through some of the products you brought through here? Okay. Because there's obviously a big debate, too, when it comes to all the differences.
And I like to think of it as the good, bad, and the ugly.
Okay,
so when we think of good fats, we're thinking of the plant-based fats to start with here. So you think about your things like your nuts and your seeds. I've got avocado on this side over here, but your almond butters, your peanut butters, really great plant-based fats. What we know about these, and of course your olive oils, your vegetable oils, is they lower that LDL, or that lousy bad cholesterol in your body.
Okay.
So we want people to eat this type of fat. There's no reason to be eliminating those out of your diet.
Okay, because I've even heard people debate over peanut butter versus almond butter, but you're saying both are actually pretty good.
Both are good. You know, of course, anything that's 100% natural is literally the nut or the seed crushed.
Even
and
better.
That's it. So you got to stir it up a little bit, but those would be my top choices for, both of them are great.
Okay, so many people have been talking about coconut oil. I think mostly because there are so many uses for it, but coconut oil versus olive oil. Is coconut oil that much better? Is that why it's getting all this attention? No.
You know what? I would still say this is sort of one of those trendy things. I would not suggest adding an excessive amount of coconut oil into your diet.
And why is that, Andrea?
And that's because coconut oil has as much saturated fat as butter.
Oh, wow.
But here's the catch. Some of that saturated fat in coconut oil is actually called lauric acid, and it's a medium-chain fat, medium-chain fatty acid that actually doesn't have as much of an effect on cholesterol as butter does.
Okay.
So it sort of is a maybe better than butter, maybe not, but certainly when we look at comparing these two, olive oil trumps that coconut oil any day.
Sure.
This is going to be your best bet when we're talking about...
But this is good for dry cuticles.
I'll just...
That's one thing I have learned. Okay, let's get into this debate. Butter, margarine, I would just assume butter right away just because it's natural.
Okay, and you know, lots of different debates come into play here, and it depends on what kind of person that we're working with in our office when we answer this question. First of all, from a culinary perspective, I don't meet many chefs that would ever choose margarine.
Never.
From a taste and a culinary perspective, cooking properties, chefs love butter. We all know that. So that might be one consideration.
Right.
Second thing to keep in mind might be that if you're vegetarian and not consuming animal foods, that butter is never going to be part of your mix. So then we go into, okay, well, what would be the next best pick for you in terms of your ethical beliefs? Of course, a margarine comes into play there.
Right.
If you're choosing a margarine, the key thing here is a soft tub non-hydrogenated margarine.
Okay.
And what that means is that it has no trans fats, and it's going to be lower in saturated fats.
Okay.
Now, nutritionally, if we compare these two,
right.
butter is a little more solid at room temperature, so it actually has more saturated fat than a soft tub non-hydrogenated margarine.
Yeah.
So from a heart health perspective, some people will say, hey, maybe this one is going to be a little bit better for keeping my cholesterol in check. At the end of the day, though, both of these fats are ones we want to eat a little less of.
I gotcha.
Again,
Andrea, gotcha.
Oils trump everything.
Okay. Probably then best really to just kind of talk with your nutritionist and really get a sense, because everyone has a different background coming into the situation.
Exactly.
Andrea, thanks so much for being here. HealthStandNutrition.com is the website if you want to check out more information. And we'll see you next time, probably in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
All right, let's head over to Stephanie Brennan. Steph.
We got a great looking